Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, the weekly review show for Collective, the community-created card game, where you make the cards, and I don't make any gestures at all, because who would do that? I am joined today by my new faithful co-host, because Grief had to go take care of his grandmother or something, uh, Empty Folder,
Hello, everyone.
and my new backup dancer, taking the place of Grief. Technically, I don't know if you're Empty and Empty got moved up a slot, or if you're Grief, but it doesn't really matter. WujekMarian.
One day I will replace you, and I will be at the top.
Honestly, I don't really know what I contribute to this show. Anyways, the panel might as well have just been you three to begin
But
with.
we need a comic relief, okay?
Okay, so let's jump straight into it, starting with DJ Ozzie Otter is a 3-drop spirit 2/3 Otter Bard from Concierta. With summon, create a deafening dance, and when you play a song, give your bards +1 attack this turn. The deafening dance is a 0-drop song with give a unit can't block this turn. Really like this on a number of levels. First of all, really great piece from Dolly 2. Really fun, interesting effect, deafening dance. I love how this presses spirit aggro in sort of an interesting way. I know this and Bunny Funk also got in on the same week, so I feel like this is really pushing a very neat sort of aggro build for bards. I don't know what their previous build was. That could have been what they were doing all along. MT, what do you think of this?
I mean, Wujek is definitely the bard expert, but maybe this is enough to make like a legitimate aggro build work for bards. They have that like 1-drop that outputs like an insane amount of damage, and then they don't have too
Scarerock
much of a way to
Minstrel.
capitalize on it after that. So maybe this lets you run a lot lower to the ground, and make like a genuinely aggro bard deck. And then, I mean, I guess you always have the late game backup with the scaling songs in case your aggro game plan doesn't work out. So yeah, I think it'll be a pretty good card for that.
Well, Jack, what do you think of this?
So, bards for the longest time have been basically a sort of combo mid-range deck where they had a pretty mid early game, but had those scaling songs into the mid game, could do really good mana cheap with Inbliss, and in the end, the game probably ended either by you outvaluing the opponent or by playing a 4-mana Damante that recasts a Walk Like Elizabeth on itself for +20 attack, and it happens to have Agile Unblockable. You could do that very early if you got really lucky. But there was this aggro package that you could potentially run in Bards, that being Lil Fep, One Trick Jabroni, Bard's Ditty, and Scalerock Minstrel. With this package, you could get Scalerock Minstrel to attack for like 9 damage on turn 2. If you just dropped on turn 1, like, it was insane. The thing is that that's kind of all it did, and the deck didn't really play an aggro enough playstyle to benefit off of that, because again, it already had the capabilities to OTK. However, I have tried the Bard package in different types of KM aggro decks. In particular, I have experimented with it alongside another Knight package, and the results were somewhere. It kind of just felt very fair, and it definitely felt like the Bard packages was a bit too small to really justify running in an aggro deck by itself.
Mm,
But it just got 2 more cards.
yeah.
And both of those cards are pretty good. Quite frankly, I would actually need to like experiment with the deck again. A lot of the package is in Spirit, so I would need to also check if it's worth running the deck in KM still. KM does have access to a lot of really good Bard cards. Easiest example would be, well, specifically for Bard aggro, there's the 2-mana 1/2 with Harmonize, which can get to really high amounts of stats with the DJ Bunny Funk, which isn't this card. But it's the
Yeah.
other Bard that got in that week.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think we'll just have to see. This is definitely a really good step forward for the archetype, though.
Good to hear it.
Just the can't block, being able to eliminate a like biggest threat blocker is a lot stronger than a lot of people would probably think.
Yeah, no, it's actually a
Even
potent effect. I mean, even in Magic where you don't have a board cap, being able to pull off a can't block at an opportune moment really matters.
Mhm.
Being able to do that at 0 and sort of be able to hold on to it until the moment you need it is actually pretty potent.
that's the big deal. It costs 0 mana, so it's also a 0 mana proc for all your songs. I really do think that this could do something.
Yeah. It would be nice to see more temp can't block stuff. It's a really cool idea. Yasha, the Celestial Guide, is a 1-drop mind exclusive 1/1 Fox God from Mirage with summon draw a card. And start of the game, if all your units in your deck are from Mirage for the rest of the game at end of turn, draw one of the top X cards of your deck, where X is the number of times you damage the opponent that turn. Draw one of the top. Yeah. So really, really neat. I'm normally pretty opposed to like Realm Matters effects, but Mirage has been in the game for so long, it deserves a pass on some of this stuff. You can't run it, obviously, with the other start of the game effect from Mirage, Second Sunrise, so it's fair in that respect. It's basically, you're running it doesn't say be running Dunewalkers, but it's be running Dunewalkers, more or less. The card itself, the actual body and the thing it's doing is mostly contained in that start of game effect. And it's just if you meet the condition, you get a really, really interesting consistency tool for the Dunewalkers. Overall, I think this is really, really nice, splashy, legendary. Like I said, I'll forgive the Realm Matters because they deserve this. They've been in the game for so long, and it's a really, really stylish way to do it. Wujek, what do you think of this?
I find Yasha to be a really interesting card because it enables a very different brew of Dunewalker aggro that is a lot more mid-rangey because of the constant card advantage that you're getting. Because this does, as long as you're hitting your opponent at least once per turn, that is an extra draw. That is a lot of card advantage. However, to do that, you're sacrificing a lot of very, very potent aggro plays that Ashgardy would have access to. You no longer have cards like Barnacle Brothers and Rift Rusher, which are, I mean, I have been a big voucher for the Rift Rusher package. I think that package is insanely powerful. But yeah, you just can't run this with Yasha. But I have actually already experimented with a Yasha deck pre-Yasha, and so has VM. And that is actually Lazaro Dunewalkers. Feo and Lazaro. And that deck is a lot better than you would expect, seeing how counterintuitive the active is, in quotation marks. It being only really usable if you have Dunewalker Shaman on board. But I do think that, especially with Yasha, that deck could be a pretty serious contender. It has already like shown pretty decent results against a lot of pretty good decks. So yeah.
MT, what do you think about this?
This card makes me glad we're getting rotation in a few months. Like, you have to be really careful with start of game effects, just because they're like free value for the rest of the game. It's like so fundamentally busted. It's just, you just get like twice as much natural card generation as your opponent, and tutoring sometimes. This card just looks so insane for me. Like, maybe the Riftwalker package is enough to like carry Ash away from using Yasha, but like, God, there's going to be some insane deck with this. You like can't turn down that amount of free card generation. You're just getting twice as much as your opponent. as long as you're hitting them, which is like what the whole that's like the whole Dunewalker package. That's what they're all about.
I wouldn't be doing my job as host of this show and resident random jank / single player expert if I didn't point this out. 1 mana for a 1/1 draw card is not bad.
It's
Like-
not. It's not really something that you would run in a standard deck, though.
Not it's standard, maybe not, but it's not great. But it's not bad.
I mean, it definitely it makes it so there's not a downside if you draw this. Like,
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
running this is just sort of a little like throw a unit out and filter. I could actually I don't think it's totally unreasonable to think that there are some decks that would run this and totally ignore one,
there's
2,
a
3,
neutral
4, 5,
card.
6, 7 blocks of text or lines of text.
There's a neutral card that does it too. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Scour 3, and then if you banish all 3, you get a card.
Yeah.
Resourceful Librarian, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can use this as a 1 mana 1/1 draw as a card. It is a lot more niche though.
Certainly,
I think the 2 decks that would want that the most probably is Rest in Pepperoni, Honeypot and Brew. Literally not even legal in Legacy, Kick W. And Rest in Pepperoni again, Karma.
Mm.
But I will also say, these are the types of designs that I would love to see more of in the next 3 months. Because we're
Yeah.
getting rotation in December, and these cards will have a shorter lifespan, we can get way wilder with what we're designing. We can go for these experimental types of designs without much of a repercussion. Also, as another note, Stranger, fun fact, Mirage is actually like in the top 5 largest realms in the game as well.
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah.
think it has actually overtaken N3RA by now. I'm not sure. Mortstall is still the largest. And fun fact about Mortstall, right? So I need to double check, but like I think a few months ago I've checked, and it had like it need like 4 cards to have twice as many as N3RA. Which I think is hilarious.
That is crazy. Uruziels Amulet is a 1-drop strength artifact from Saga with choose one of the 4 top cards of your deck to draw. And Surge 3, draw all 4 instead, then lose HP equal to your hand size. Very interesting, very... Oh boy, this is fun. I mean, I don't know. I personally feel that Saga is a little, like, simple in terms of what it's doing, and so it doesn't really excite me that much. I do actually really think this card is neat, though, because at its base level, this is the kind of effect you can use in a lot of different decks. Admittedly, you don't have the advantage of, like, a shuffle or anything, but, I mean, so you're not, like, I mean, you're just digging a little bit deeper, and then if you have a bunch of garbage on top, you can't get rid of it at all. But it does have that other effect that could be useful for anything it cares about, or just drawing a bunch of cards. Yeah, you lose HP equal to your hand size, but also I could see this as a means to sort of get gas back and more of an aggro type build. There's a lot of different things I can see with this. MD, why did you pick this card?
It's just a neat card, and I like the reference to Uruziel. And now, like, basically they're very defined as like dealing damage to yourself, but not synergizing with pain. It's basically their deal at this point.
Yeah, an honest self-damage archetype type. And I know there's another one in midweek. Wujek, what do you think of this?
Yeah, this is just a very potent filtering effect. 1 mana to choose one of the 4 top cards of your deck to draw is quite literally just better than mind effects that we've had that were similar to this. Like Golden Ticket, as you look at more cards. Obviously, something like Golden Ticket comes with additional upside of mill if you can utilize it. But there was also another one that was, I think, called Third Sight. That basically did the same effect, but for 3 cards instead of 4. So yeah, as just a consistency tool, this will absolutely see play in Legacy and probably even Standard. The draw part is what I'm a bit more iffy about. I'm not sure how many decks were able to utilize it, because yes, it is a strong refill. How many decks will actually need a refill like that? Helden maybe. Promo may be able to sacrifice some HP to draw a bunch of cards, but Promo also has the self-sack draw engine, which fulfills pretty much any draw needs you would ever want. With how many cards it allows you to draw, it literally draws you so many cards that you mill.
Yeah.
So
Cool
the
stuff.
first part definitely very useful. The second, probably
Well,
in
and
some decks.
that's the advantage of Surge. Modality is a big plus in any card. I love modal.
Yeah.
I am absolutely crazy. I built a cube in MTG that was as many choose effects as humanly possible in the same cube.
I mean, yeah, and 4 mana draw 4 is like almost pretty much always worth considering to some extent.
Yeah. Okie dokie then. So these are the active submissions. These are available for you to vote on now. And I did want to actually start off this episode with a little bit of a PSA. I had a talk with a couple of my panelists, and as a matter of policy, we are going to try and avoid voting on anonymous cards. And you can ask about that decision if you want to on the Discord, but basically, if you see that your cards are consistently not being picked and you're choosing to use the anonymous moniker on your designer credit, I'm sorry. I don't feel that that's personally what Submitted is about. So let's just go into it with Shrimp, which is a 2-drop mind 1/2 fish from nowhere in particular. With Rebound and Summon, create a fossil. I think this is cute. It creating straight in the hand is pretty interesting because Fossil's previous stick was like, oh, the thing dies. This is like the fossil it leaves behind. It's actually a pretty potent draw. I mean, because you get on the rebound, you can practice twice. Pretty decent card advantage engine. Where is it sitting on the thing? Oh, it's unknown at the moment. So I guess it's kind of up to us if we think this is still going to be like too potent. I'd have voted though. Empty, what do you think of this?
I feel like in like any other card game, this would be busted. But our card advantage is worth like so little in collective that's probably fine. It's just like an all right fish tool and an all right draw tool. I mean, Fossil's pretty good. If you can, like, maybe you could run it in like action spam or something, because you have a few ways to like give it rebound there, and stuff. And at that point, it's like a pretty potent refueling tool. I mean, it's just like a fine card, decent fish support.
Yeah, the flavor is a little baffling. I don't really get why they picked. I guess
they picked like the one animal that doesn't have a fossil.
Well, okay. Well, I guess it's close enough to like. Oh, it has a little exoskeleton, whatever, fantasy. But yeah, it's a little simple on the flavor side, but I think it's pretty solid mechanically. Well, yeah, what do you think of this?
Shrimp. Nah, but yeah, as Empty said, in any other game, I mean, Meticulous Research, which to be fair is not a great card. That's 3 mana draw 2. This, for the same mana, you get 1 flexibility because you don't have to play them both in the same turn. You can drop this on turn 2, draw on turn 3 or something like that, and you get a 1/2 of rebound. Cool. And you get yeah, that's really good. But card draw is so free in collective that it makes you think of where you would run this. And yeah, fish are an obvious pick on the basis of
Fish
card draw synergy and this having the fish tribe, which this having the fish tribe really annoys me.
Why?
Whatever. Shrimp. Shrimp.
We have mermaids that are fish.
Like, yeah, actually, yeah, and that's actually really funny because we have the Siren tribe, and yet the one Siren singer that we had in Standard was a human fish. So back when we had the DC where we had to not use any standard tribes, we could use Siren despite having a card named Siren Singer in standard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still annoys me mildly, but whatever. It's like small thing. You
People
could
play.
maybe try and run it in action spam. Yeah, some brews. I mean, again, 1 mana draw 2, pretty fucking good. You can technically run this in Gup on these nuts since it's a fish that refills itself,
Oop. Yeah.
and that is always fun. I don't know. We'll
Cool
see if it
card.
gets in.
Solid first design, or new design
I
for
don't think it's
Purple
a
Fire.
first design, but yeah.
One of the first, certainly. Okie doke, Data Sap is a 3-drop neutral software from Uplink with give a unit -1, -3, and fetch a card. I think this is notable for being. Is this our first? Well, one of our first single-sided fetch designs, and I think this is a really, really solid thing. I almost think it could be cheaper, but maybe I don't know how to do numbers, so maybe that's not right. I love
cheaper.
the flavor and the aesthetics of this thing. I think this is really cool. Yeah, no, 3's probably about right for this, come to think of it.
The problem is if you make it 1 cheaper, it's like a fireball that can draw you a card.
Oh, good. I don't know what I was thinking.
And it has a positive -1 attack as well if you're not killing.
Yeah.
Which is definitely notable.
Wujek, what do you think of this?
It's a good removal for decks that can store cards. That's pretty much the extent of it. You can probably run this in some sort of Dantalian brew in mind. There's any deck that runs Logbox. Probably slower decks in general because you don't want to depend on like such small combo packages unless you're running a sort of slower deck. Though just a 3 mana for -1, -3 isn't bad. It's essentially 3 mana deal free that doesn't proc rage, as relevant as that is. And the -1 attack can help in neutralizing some scarier targets. For example, some of the Dunewalkers. Airy comes to mind. If you, let's say, don't have a way to instantly answer her, but you have like a Pancat and this in hand, you can at least stop her from readying herself before combat. Other examples, Blade Weaver, even though it's not a super relevant card, neither is Soul Warden, but both of them get absolutely negated by it. And in Legacy, a more relevant example would be Merrick, who is a very strong card, and attuning this out to prevent a turn to Merrick is not a bad play.
Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I mean it's just like a fine store and fetch support card. Like we had that whole DC, but basically as ended up happening is a lot of decks just sort of run like Lockbox and Tombstone. It's not Tombstone, I can't remember what it's called.
It's
Coffin, that's the one. Just like on their own because they're just really good cards and then don't run any support. So maybe we'll see some actual decks that run a bit of synergy with the store and fetch package.
Coffin in particular is Coffin in particular like Solar more play probably because it is out of the store and the fetch ones. It is the one card that can make you just go straight +3 in CA.
Yep.
Because you can banish Bone Fetchers from your graveyard, and that triggers there when this leaves a graveyard effect to draw your card.
I do personally believe we aren't like currently using the store part of store and fetch to its biggest potential, because like where it really shines is not just another way of manipulating your deck. I feel it's a way of like having like a pseudo sideboard type thing where you can like put things into the store to grab back. And in that respect, I don't think it's being used all that well, but
you mean like non-native support?
No, like if you look at cards like First Aid Kit, right, where it's just, oh, this is a bunch of like generally useful super cheap tokens, right? But oh, it just shuffles them in your deck. You take something like a First Aid Kit. I know it's a really, really old card, bear with me. Throw those into the store instead, and then you have like other tools that let you like fetch back those tools as you need them. I think that would be more interesting to see designs like that. But manipulating your deck is fine, but I mean, we have all sorts of stuff that scours, draws, tutors, all that kind of stuff. It's not, I don't think, the best potential of what the store half could be. But I'm glad we're seeing cards like this that fetch. Ooh, looks like
There's a thingy at the end of the PNG thing,
Oh.
at the end of the link. Just,
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
N3ON Loopmole is a 5-drop mind 3/3 Theowen Trickster from Aesthetica with Ward and Endure 2. And when an ally Neon unit deals combat damage, you may swap it with a different Neon unit from your deck that costs +1 or less. This card is deeply triggering on multiple accounts, but I've said why it's triggering. I love cannibals. I actually didn't like read the full card when I put this on my picks. I want to love this card because it's like, oh, deal combat damage. It's got this really cool sort of like birthing pod type strat. It only triggers me on my particular things that I've already complained about before on this show, so I'm gonna save everyone the thing and let everyone else talk this card up like it well deserves. Empty, what do you think of this?
It's fine though. So the problem is like I feel like this card in particular, you actually kind of have to have the naming restriction because otherwise it's so easy to break this thing in half.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing with birthing pod, right?
Yeah. Well, in this one in particular, you just get like 2 units that have an entrance duel trigger, and then you loop those back and forth until you just wipe your opponent's whole board. The thing is, I mean, it's kind of like a legacy card is basically how I see this, because it's going to be rotating pretty soon. And we don't have that many neons in standard, so cannibals would be very hard pressed to make the package a thing and have it function with this in the time that this is in standard.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. That'd be awesome for someone to just like, well, there's not that many cards being submitted, so I'm just gonna put in this whole archipet before we rotate. But I don't really see it happening, which is a shame.
Yeah. Wujek, what do you think of this?
I'm gonna say this card actually scares me a bit because of how it can actually stall boards pretty efficiently in the right deck. We have cards like Neon Bedazzler that just straight up prevent attacks in Neons, and Neons do have a decent chunk of ambushers that can take a hit of 2 or less attack, which, I mean, a lot of aggro decks run units that are specifically at 2 or less attack, and being able to just like tag between Zig and Zag and Neon Bedazzler, I think is a legitimate option. Especially with how endurant this is. Like, this is horrifyingly hard to remove. First, you need to pop the ward, then you basically need a silence, because are you gonna be dealing 5 damage to this thing when it also has endure?
Yeah.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Even for 5-drop, I think this is pretty dang sticky.
It is extremely sticky. I will also say one change that I would definitely want to see to this card. For the love of God, have it just not be a Theowen.
Thank you! Thank you!
I am in the cope dimension because I've been playing a lot of different like Dunewalker brews recently, and to have Pathfinder trigger consistently in the early game, you kind of really need to run Goose, even though you normally wouldn't want to. And like, I already have the Bear Spirits cards cluttering my Goose pool, okay? Let's not have this in there as well, please. I beg of you.
I mean, I just don't like it. I personally is like, why does it all gotta be fake? I made Anam Astra on the principle Why are all the furries Feowin? It's blah.
I mean, yeah, aren't do moles count as rodents? I think they do, right?
I think they're rodents.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. So like,
I tried to get in a weasel
tribe.
as a rodent, which you taught me is not right. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty
no,
sure
weasels are
plenty
not-
of people, or sorry, a meerkat. I'm sure plenty of people didn't even notice.
Are moles rodents? Moles are members of the mammalian order Insectivora, which are they are not rodents. Goddamn! What even is a rodent?
Just make them rodents. Make them rodents.
Yeah, I mean, we have a shrimp that's a fish earlier on today.
Shrimps are fish. Walruses are fish, and moles are rodents.
And
You
then a
can quote me on that.
Plusmosaurus is a dinosaur fish, apparently.
Yeah, I am amazing at taxonomy. Dunewalker Recruit, 1-drop. Mind 1/2 Feowin Warrior from Mirage. Summon if you control another Feowin, draw a card. Like Deja Vu, there was already, what is it, Feowin Scout? Or the
Yeah.
Dunewalker Scout. And
it's
this
like
is
the
just
card I wish we got instead of Dunewalker Scout.
Yeah, like this is very, very similar. Wujek, you want to talk on this?
So you remember when I said that right now to proc Pathfinder you really want to run Goose, even though like you don't really want to run Goose, you kind of just have to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have been of the opinion that Dunewalkers, despite having 3 dedicated Dunewalker 1-drops, could really use a 4th one, just for that bit of Pathfinder consistency. And even if this isn't really a great card to just play flat, because I mean 1 mana 1/2 isn't ideal, it's okay. You can drop this on turn 1 as your 1-drop, it's just not great. It is an option. And it also opens up a lot of, again, like those more late game plays with its CA refilling ability. Especially in the late game, like it may be worth considering if you draw a Pathfinder to go for this instead of Dunewalker Rogue. Because in the early game, generally, you're gonna go for Rogue, maybe sometimes Climber if you want to get a turn to proc.
Mm.
But Pathfinder does force play the unit that he fetches out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So playing Pathfinder into this as a more late game play is definitely worth considering.
Yeah, I think it's a nice little solid, cute little design. Empty, so you said this is what you wish Scout was?
No, it's the Pathfinder. That's the one. Wujek put it up. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just like another fine Dunewalker 1-drop. Wujek says they need it, so I'm gonna trust him. I don't really play Dunewalkers. It's another consistency tool for the deck.
I mean, I like having decks that are like super low to the ground and also like a bunch of 1-drops. So I think that's nice and stylish. This
Yeah, that
maybe
part's fine.
I guess the more of these things that exist kind of pollutes a little bit. And I'm gonna, speak out of my own self-interest here because that's like my job. The 1-drop pool in single player a little bit since this does require tribal synergy, but like, if we really cared, we could update it to Feowin or Warrior. But we already have Henry in that pool, which is 1,000 times worse. I'm almost glad to introduce this into the pool so that Henry is a little bit more diluted, because it's just horrible that he has to exist in that pool for me.
This also, by the way, yeah, once again, please help me not run Goose. Feowin, yeah, Henry is also in the Goose pool.
Oh yeah. The more of those we get, the better.
Like honestly, one day just take a look at Legacy Feowin and how much garbage there is. You have the core set cards, you have like the Bear Spit, which aren't garbage, but like they're not something you want in a Dunewalker deck. You have things like Henry, it is miserable.
Oh right, you can get Henry off the goods
You can't
too.
get Henry on Goose. I have seen it. It is not great. Ooh.
I don't know. Charging Whelp is a 1-drop mind 1/1 dragon software from Uplink with flying fast and surge 3, gain 6 mana. You can only play dragons and softwares this turn. Super cute. This is the kind of like degenerate stuff I like seeing, and of course Spikebird being just perfect on the art as always. That guy, that I swear to you, he is never off. I mean, I think, what is it? So I guess this would be empties to start us out on, although I know Wujek is going to have another like thesis dissertation for us on this card. So empty, let's get what you have to say out of the way.
I mean, I don't think there's that much to say. It's like there's that one 6-mana software dragon that this is like clearly meant to synergize with. It's like the 4/4. It makes two 2/1s with agile, and then like draws you a bunch of cards. So you like attune into this and play that on turn 3, and then you just sort of win from there and hope your opponent doesn't have board clear.
Upload, I believe.
Yeah,
Is the name.
Wujek, what do you think of this?
So remember how I said we can do more experimental designs because we have rotation coming up? I think so. How do I put it?
It's 3 months. People have to play the game in that period, you know.
So I think right now we're at a point in the game's history where if your deck isn't inherently unfair and doesn't do bullshit things, it is not a good deck. The only exception to that is Dot, because Dot decks are just high HP units, because Dot is does bullshit things by himself. He doesn't need cards. Yeah, the Upload Tail synergy is definitely very scary, with how powerful that card is. And yeah, dropping this on turn 4 into Upload Tail's absolutely insane.
let's be real. You're gonna tune into it too.
You cannot tune into it as well. And I do think that this is like the main thing against the card. But I think this could definitely be posted in December. I think as a December post where like you don't have to deal with this in standard. Perfect. That's when this is posted. It goes into Legacy. It gives Legacy Dragon decks something to play with. Gives software something to play with. And like, who at that point, who cares about Upload Tail really? We
Okay.
have time travel to answer it.
I think that's fair. I do like the design. And I love the art. Okay. The Ambitious Saleshog is a 2-drop strength 3/2 pig merchant from Animastra. With your units with attack greater than their HP have overrun. And I totally did not engage in any sort of backroom dealing with Wujek before the show started to get my pick onto his list. So get that thought out of your minds. Wujek, what do you think of this idea? I was playing around with the idea of having top-heavy synergy, and this seemed like a fun thing to do. So I decided to reference like Stampeding Boar, you know, from the past. And a lot of Magic pigs also have the top-heavy thing going on. And, you know, do that for Animastra. Because I love pig people. I don't know why. It's just a fascination of mine. That's why I did About to Snap when Sorry posted it. I was like, I have to come up with a design for this.
So I would like this card more post-rotation. In the current game system, you are, I mean, don't get me wrong, Overrun, really cool. Units with a higher attack than health, not very cool. Top-heavy units have had it so rough for so long in the current system because being inherently weaker to removal means that you basically have to have an extremely strong summon or something like that to be worthwhile. See something like what is it called? 5 mana 5/3 in strength that does basically a Trikunai. What's a mind and strength card? It's Chroma.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
know what you're talking about, but I don't know what
Tri-tip
it's called.
Tonabushi? Something like that.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Something like that. And yeah, for a high attack to be relevant right now, you really want Overrun. But are you gonna be dedicating a card slot to it? And are you gonna be dedicating that card slot to a 2 mana 3/2 that gets hit by a really real danger 2 mana deal 2s, which are the most common removal type in the standard card pool?
So you're saying if we want to do top heavy matters, they need a Dunewalker apprentice basically for top heavies, where it's like top heavy thing enters, give it ward, keep it safe.
Perhaps.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. In the current system, just units with higher attack than health have it so rough. After the system update, it is a lot better because those units can't immediately act. They have one less turn to get blown the fuck out by removal.
And there's no multi-blocking.
And there's no multi-blocking, so you can't like send 3 1/1s into an opponent's 5/3 and just be like, yep.
So I need to get this card in, and then I need to push for them to add it to core set, is what you're saying.
That's one way to do it.
MT, what do you think of this?
I agree. I feel like this is a card. The last card, it felt like it was designed for like being put into Legacy. This one feels like it's designed to be put into the like next standard environment. It synergizes very well with the new changes that are going through. And combat's just going to be a lot more relevant there. I like really hope. I mean, I hope that combat will be more relevant and will not have like worthless board interaction that doesn't actually mean anything most of the time.
Okay. Thank you guys for your help. And thank you, Wujek, for taking the money I slipped to you under the table.
I wish I had money.
Uruziels Scholar is a 3-drop strength 3/2 demon arcanist from Saga. With summon, draw a demon. It costs 2 less and gains entrance. Deal 4 damage to this card's owner. Really?
Remember what?
Really? Spike, I love you, but when you can't slip things past me, like at some point you just gotta take a long, hard look at yourself and say, am I trying to get too many overpowered things into the game? No. Okay, first of all, nice things. I always love I love Spike's work. So really, really pretty, very, very interesting design. I love the art. This is nuts. The entrance, first of all, it's Azuriel, which we just talked about, Uruziel, which we talked about how he's supposed to not synergize with pain.
Yeah, well, why is this dealing damage? You should be losing life.
This card does. So on top of everything else, if you can get a, I don't know if one exists currently, but a demon with life bond just turns the limitation off entirely and makes it into just draw a demon, upside for pain attacks, no downside for anyone. I think this is a little too much. I think maybe at a higher cost, I think this could work, but yeah, I'm not falling for it. I do like it though. I just don't think it's fair. MT, what do you think about this?
I that's actually like a really good summary. Because I like the design. I think it's really like I always like these sort of like demon designs where it's like quite a good chunk of HP for like really good advantage. That's like always fun. As well as like a tutor and a consistency tool for legacy demons. Like that's really cool. I just don't think it's fair either.
I guess you do have a little bit of quirkiness in the fact that it just draws a demon, so it's not a choose. And then the thing you get out of it could just be another Uruziels Scholar. So it does have this sort of implicit downside thing going on. Which, yeah, that's a thing I didn't think about, I guess. Wujek, what do you think of this?
So I honestly think this is a lot less oppressive than you're making it out to be. Yes, the effect is insanely strong. Yes, it can potentially draw a Wendigo, and then it's kind of just free. Wow, 3 mana 5/5. Incredible. 5/1 of which that's what I've. Here's the issue. You have to run demons.
Mm.
And unless you're tutoring a very specific demon, oh boy, it's not pretty. The demon pool has just a ton of extremely specific cards that work in extremely specific decks, and a lot of those extremely specific decks are not very great. Some really good synergies would include something like, I guess, Bottle Robber, where it can self-bounce, which is kind of neat. You have like maybe a potential good stuff package and just held them with this and Rag Shaman. That's pretty good. Like yes, this can do a lot of tempo. But it is also worth looking at how Strength has been performing recently, which
Yeah.
what Strength?
Yeah, so okay, so I see
And
what you mean, that the cards that would
what
actually be
taxes.
pulling are maybe not the greatest. It's
Also, by the way, I would just say empty. You don't run this in Legacy Demons. It costs 3 mana.
I would
like
Yeah,
say
not surprising.
I would say
yeah,
at the
Legacy
very
Demons is a very hyper-focused deck. If
Mhm.
you're running a demon that costs more than 2, that isn't Inferno Promoter or Forlorn, you can break yourself.
I do want to ask if we can agree it's a very bare bones thing. Like this tribe line makes it difficult to run in the deck that does care about demons, right? Because it can just cycle itself.
Sorta. Like it really depends how you use it, right? Because yes, it can cycle itself, which is annoying. I think if anything in Demon Tribal, epic. You're probably gonna be drawing some like cheap demon. You got your Baldwin proc. You kick W Baldwin, by the way.
Yeah.
But like if you care about that, here you go. Enjoy. Have a cookie. If anything, I think that the tribe line makes it a lot worse in decks that would want to use this as a consistency tool to draw another demon, like a very specific demon. Decks that would, for example, Blood Painter decks. They would want to use it to draw Blood Painter. Maybe some like potential Heldim aggro lists that would want to utilize Rag Shaman or Wendigo. There are a few different options. Even in theory, you could even use this in like code blocks to fetch Infernal Promoter.
Okay. So we acted calm me down. Maybe this isn't as bonkers as I'm thinking. The pain proc is maybe sort of a way to offset the fact that it is, a demon that can end up fetching itself. Personally, I wish that opportunity was off the table. Either, I guess, just by means of saying other would be fine, right? But yeah, it's sitting at 0, so people are more of the. Well, I guess people could be the whole collective gap of half the people arguing it's overpowered, half the people arguing it's underpowered.
This card is definitely extraordinarily pushed.
Yeah. Like the only thing that's keeping it in check is that we have bad demons in standard. I've been looking through the list.
That's
not
it.
pretty.
It's just that demons are not great, and it can also draw itself.
Terrain Realignment is a 2-drop spirit action from Aesthetica with if you have less than 10 max mana, gain 1 max mana, otherwise draw 2. No notes. I'm so glad because I personally, just because of my stupid personal biases, didn't like Loopmole that we had another great design from Cannibals for me to hype up a whole bunch. I like ramp. I don't like how we don't do ramp in collective. I think this should get in right now. I think this should be pushed immediately to the core set. Like, I think this is a really, really solid, thoughtful design for it.
We do not want to have 2 mana max mana gain in the core set.
Why not?
So
I was gonna I think what the question I was gonna ask is whether or not we're at a point in standard where 2 mana max mana gain is balanced enough to see play. But like in the core set for the new rotation, yeah, that's gonna be nuts.
So the thing about max mana ramp is that the earlier it comes, it gets exponentially stronger. There's a massive difference between ramping on turn 2 and ramping on turn 3. We've actually seen this in the past with Green Meadows, which was 1 mana, but it allowed you to ramp both players by 1 on turn 1. That just being able to ramp on turn 1 is beyond broken. Ramping on turn 2 is really, really, really strong. I mean, instantly going to the 4 drops and 5, but yeah. You just get 1 extra mana over ramping on turn 3, just by default. 1 mana per turn, so it gets stronger into late game as well, obviously. But
coming from a game where there's a lot of mana ramp and some of it's hard ramp, right? Like 2 mana hard ramp is a thing. I think that after the engine changes, because you talked about the exponentiality of it, right? That doesn't matter in Magic. That does not matter. Ramp is good, but it's not great.
I actually wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
So, in the current card pool, it is really hard to say.
Yeah.
Because of how exponential our mana or curve is right now. I could very realistically see some sort of ramp decks, even in the current card pool, that just go into massive top-end plays like Sakura Orochi. However, the combat system changes really help in not having to go so exponential in how we design top ends. And I actually would love to see more ramp in the core set. I actually think we should have ramp in the core set. Because then people design around the ramp.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very good skill to have. Right now, I'm gonna be honest, the current card pool, we were spoiled but not having great mana ramp, and we went places where we got to the point of no return by now. Mana ramp has become so insane in the current card pool that people are seriously considering, for example, nerfing a Tune. When in the past, a Tune was fine. It was a good card, don't get me wrong. Had its niches, especially in Ashgardy. But it wasn't this instant included into any Rictic deck, so any mind deck ever, and completely broke at the point of nerfing. I don't think, at least.
Yeah, it's just how the environment has changed. As the game gets faster and faster, and the growth gets more exponential on how much better units get, a tune is just going to get better and better.
Okay.
I'm hoping that the rotation will reset that, basically.
So yeah, I would like to live in a world where this is okay.
Same. And I'm gonna be honest, the one thing that I think is kind of weird is the condition. I would unironically like this a bit more if it was just 2 mana, gain 1 max mana. Just simple effect like that. But the draw 2 is not a deal breaker.
We're collective. We're always gonna do goofy stuff like that. The Deep Dweller is 5-drop strength, 2/3 undead shadowfish from Penumbra. With summon, merges with an ally unit, and when this attacks alone, Give it unblockable this turn. Oh my. This is so cute, guys. It's Heldem support. And actually kind of decent Heldem support, I think, maybe. Don't quote me on that. And then when it's got, or when it's also got, in the world of the new system, this is actually, I think, really, really good. I think this would get a lot better after rotation. Because the whole, or no, it doesn't really matter. Sorry.
Yeah, because it's merge.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, solid merge card. Really, really cool design. I love the art's kind of little. I can't really tell what's going on, but I guess that's fitting for what it's supposed to be doing. I
think it's like a whale.
Yeah, it's like a whale. But it's not very exciting because it's like the vague idea.
How exciting can you get with the vague idea of a whale? Like
exactly, that's the thing. It's like the card represents the concept, the vague idea of a whale. And I think that's maybe a problem with the existing shadows, is they're blobs. Some more shapes would be neat. I like the card. I'm not trying to be hypercritical of this card, guys. I like this card.
Stranger, at least shadows are different shaped blobs. We literally have wisps, which are just circles.
Good point. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, see, the shadows have different shapes and the wisps have different colors.
True, that is true. Can't have both, apparently.
Empty, what do you think?
If they even have colors, that is.
Yeah, well, I absolutely love this design. This is a really neat way to make use of unblockable. It's a lot of mana, though. I feel like this could be 4 pretty easily.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah. But like this is a great design, really cool use of unblockable and merge. And great Heldem support for like one of my favorite Heldem archetypes, which is like go tall.
Yeah. Super glad I advocated so hard to have merge work from active so that I can make Tormented Image. You know, people have made such great use of it. They're just all summons. No, I'm just being salty. I love this card. I love this design. I really do. Wujek, what do you think of this?
My brother in Christ, merge on an active is so horrifying. Because it can go literally infinite. But yeah, we've had a lot of positivity. I'm gonna be a bit negative about this card. I think this card can be described in exactly 3 words, and those are feast or famine. This card is extremely good if you can slap it onto something big. But sometimes the wire just lingers, and then you... Wow! Cool 5 mana play! You lost the game! Congrats! Epic! Even better if it's, what's it called? Revert form, because then you don't even get the stats. You just cry about it, I guess. Piss yourself, maybe.
Yeah,
and I think that is the inherent problem with this. This card is a very strong effect. This effect can just push so much damage that it's really wild. It's really hard to justify it being lower because of that. 4, I can maybe see. Nowhere really lower than that, though. But the wire just lingers, and the form can be reverted.
That's just another, like, the other half of the spicy merge discourse is they're all summons. The other half of the spicy merge discourse is if Trixune never existed, we would have merge work so much better. Like, the whole ruling change on flipping it to where silence the merges, that interaction would have been totally fine, and we could just have, you know, merge still work if it worked for 1 card.
How many times was Trixune nerfed too?
And then they decided to nerf the mechanic of nerf merging, which was dumb.
Believe it or not, I think Trixune was only ever nerfed twice.
But then they nerfed merge, which was the big deal.
Because there was the first nerf to Trixune, which was specifically making it not target enemy. Actually, no, there were 3 nerfs. Sorry, Because there was the first one, which is make it silenceable. Then there was the second one, which was make it not able to target enemies, because that was fucking silly. And there was the third one, which is whatever Chixune is right now. I actually don't remember.
Wasn't it not exclusive originally too? And then of course it's like,
Yes,
oh,
it
it's a
was.
mine light drop, so it can exist. We need to make it exclusive.
It was, and I think it was used for something in that.
But yeah,
I mean, I remember old pre-nerf Chixune was just so potent that you could just run it anywhere to copy your opponent's biggest Jikus and just
Oh yeah.
biggest Jikus had the cock measuring contest, you know? It was
I
great.
remember seeing like the mirror matches with that. It was really dumb.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I think after that it didn't actually get a it actually got a buff and not a nerf after the change to where it cannot target enemies, where it got like its cost decreased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, because it used to be 9 mana.
The merge interaction was a tragedy. The merge nerf. But yeah, I like this design. I think we all like this design. Like, we just got off on a tangent about dumb stuff. This is a cool card. What's it sitting at?
It's
Sitting at 2?
very neat. It's just really unfortunately plays into what our current removal looks like, because you just cannot run this in a meta game where Revert Form and Lingering Wire are in every deck ever.
Yeah, so wait a week, or sorry, wait a month where people are more or care more about rotation. Resub this at 4, and I think it would probably do better. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe by then the wire will not linger. Who knows? You could also just full send it and say, you know what? Legacy time, 3 mana, lower the stats a little bit. Fuck it, full send it. December posting.
Yeah,
That's another way to do it, I guess. Because yeah, I do not. I'm gonna be honest, I just do not think this can see play in standard. Not in the current standard card pool.
yeah.
It's kind of just unfortunate.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Sorry, my
Hello?
Zoom is freaking out, so we're gonna have some dead air for a little bit while Zoom catches up to what we're doing.
Does that capture Zoom?
Yeah. Okay. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode, and keep on playing collective and keep on voting on cards. Bye.
Well, we'll see if anyone ever gets to see this episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Schrodinger.